Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another case study. All right, so in this case study is going to be a bit longer than usual. This is because I will be recording two trades instead of one, right? A trade on Thursday on GU and another trade on Friday on GU, GBP USD. All right, so let's get started on the daily time frame. You can see the market um, takes all this low over here. Okay, moves higher, takes out these highs. Okay, takes out these external highs over here, and then comes for the liquidity from the left. Okay, so comes for this inducement high, and then market starts moving to the downside. So couple things, you can see the market built some liquidity over here. You see a bunch of highs over here. On the daily, it's obviously not as clean, right? You can see on the 4-hour time frame, there's a bunch of liquidity. You can say this one right here, these equals, right? Is it gonna come for that right away? Not particularly, right? The market can obviously still respect it, engineer more liquidity, and then finally come for it later, right? It's just something to keep in mind. The market can go up there, so yeah, pretty much. On the daily time frame, right? Going back to the daily, this is a liquidity block. However, it's with structure, as you can see, right? High, low, and then higher high. It's with structure, so ideally I wouldn't be looking for buys right away, and obviously I wouldn't be looking for sells either, because the market can respect this, take out some high, and then go lower. So for that reason, I would look for what the market does in this area. If there's liquidity left to the upside, right, at the highs, then, and let's say the market engineers more liquidity, just basically engineers liquidity to the upside while coming lower, then personally I would look for some sort of entry model towards that liquidity. Okay. Um. Okay. So you kind of have to see what the lower time frame does in this scenario. So yeah, on the 4-hour time frame, you can see, right, liquidity here. This high was actually swept, which fueled the market to go lower. Trapping buyers. The market comes for this liquidity from the left, right? Liquidity from the left, and then the market just comes, takes out this high, trapping sellers, and coming into this imbalance. Okay, or this fair value gap or whatever. After that, the market comes lower, sweeps the low again, right? If you look at on the hourly, I believe it looks a lot cleaner, right? Takes out this external high over here, inducing more buyers. So would I be looking for sells in these areas? No, not really. I wouldn't be looking for sells. I'll just wait for the market to build more price action, because it just took out this high over here. So looking for buys, I wouldn't do, because there is a lot of liquidity to the downside right now. The market just built liquidity. So finally came for all that. You can also see this right here. Came into this low. Okay, so the market came into the low. And what did it do after coming into the low? You can see right here. Okay, takes out this high. You got your BOS to the upside, inducing buyers. Okay. And then finally comes in, traps the buyers. All right, so now all the buyers in the market is gone. Okay, they're all out the market. And what the market does after trapping all the buyers on the 5-minute time frame, right? You have to understand, because of this BOS to the downside, right? People are trying to sell. Okay, so where are they selling from? They're literally selling from every high that they find, right? So this is the most recent high that was left. So our eyes should automatically be targeting here. Okay, so you got your BOS to the downside. Sellers induced. All people are doing, or retail people are doing, or retail traders are doing, are waiting for a pullback into their POI, and then they're looking for some break of structure on lower time frames for their confirmation entry. Some people will just take it straight from the POI. So, there's a bunch of traders that are trying to sell. Okay, so the market comes here. You can see the market purposely, okay, and coming into this POI or this high right here, purposely does this, okay? Has a slow movement of price, okay? Because what does retail look for? Well, they're looking for a slow, or let's say correction, okay? So they look for that correction and that impulse down, just for them to be like, oh wow, like it's a sell, you know? So so the market purposely, you know, starts moving slow in this area, okay, building that liquidity to the downside. All right, so it's not just doing it out of for no reason. It's building that liquidity, okay. So the market is building that liquidity. You can see BOS to the upside, market pulls back, right, respects the low, builds that liquidity, has another BOS to the upside right here. All right, so let's say BOS, you got your other BOS right here, and then you got your another BOS, okay? So all the market's doing is just building that liquidity, okay? Market builds that liquidity, finally comes, has that BOS to the downside, okay? So what does that do for retail traders? It literally just tapped into their POI, gave them that BOS to the downside. So what are they trying to do? They're looking for a pullback into their order block to sell from, okay? So they're looking for, let's say, let's just grab this whole area, and then boom. Okay, so looking for that pullback, and you'll see the market comes here, okay, traps all the buyers, traps all the buyers here, induces buyers here, traps all the buyers, okay, taking out this low. And what does taking out the low do? It induces sellers, okay? So taking out these internal lows over here induces sellers into the market. So sellers are getting induced. They got induced. They are trying to sell. They got their little BOS, right? They got induced again right here. And pretty much for us, obviously, we see this as engineered liquidity, right? The market's engineering liquidity to the upside. And this is where we're trying to long, right? We're trying to long towards that liquidity, okay? All these highs, very juicy target, right? The market comes lower, traps the buyers. In terms of entries, like I've mentioned before, Marco has mentioned this before as well. You can take the trade as soon as buyers are trapped, which is this lower here. However, it doesn't really give you the best of RR, right? As you can see, just to this high right here, it gives you barely a 1 to 2, right? So I wouldn't be taking it straight from this over here. Only because the RR doesn't make sense, right? So what I did was I waited for the market to come into this imbalance right here, and that's where I entered the trade. Now I believe Marco waited a bit lower, which is completely fine, right? If you want to, you can wait for it to come lower, or you could just take it from the imbalance. I was more than happy to take it straight from the imbalance, as to the high right here gave me more than a 1 to 3, okay? Gave me a 1 to 3.75. So yeah. Okay, so this is where I entered the market. Yes, it did induce lower, came all the way to the low, right? Nearing my stop loss, which is completely fine. And then finally started moving to the upside, okay? And it does all this on purpose, all right? Comes here, look how it printed this high, printed this low, came into your order block. Let's say people that are like missed this trade right here, okay, or just weren't too sure or whatever, they got their BOS to the downside again, okay? All that does is trap buyers, induce sellers into the market, okay? All this does is just induce sellers into the market and then move higher. Unfortunately, there was, I mean, if you take it straight from here, the RR doesn't make sense. It doesn't give you like a 1 to 2, I think. I think it actually gives you a 1 to 2. Let's see. Straight to the low. Yeah, this gives you like barely a 1 to 2. So I wouldn't be taking that trade. I would just be, yeah, what I would look for some type of entry model. Unfortunately, on the 1 minute time frame, I'm pretty sure it does not give you an entry model. Yeah. So all it does, just come sweep the low, print this high, induce lower, and then just flew straight to highs. Right. So in terms of entry model, wasn't there, I wouldn't like to enter here as my stop loss would be too big. So this was a clean move right here. This was the only entry for that day. And to be honest, these are the trades that I add more volume on, right? And yeah, and just take it straight to the highs. Obviously, you can take some partials here if you want to. A good partial area to take some partials as it just swept this liquidity. However, I'll be targeting these highs, okay? Because structurally speaking, this is the low, this is the lower high, and then you got your lower low, right? So I'll be targeting the structural high right here. And yeah, pretty much gives you a nice 1 to almost 6, okay? It gives you a nice 1 to 6 almost. And then pretty much this was the trade on Thursday, okay? Quick, easy trade, right? All it does, induce buyers, traps the buyers, come here, engineers liquidity to the upside, induces sellers, traps the buyers here, and then finally has the move to the upside, right? Grabbing all that liquidity. And yeah, pretty much. Okay, so Friday was quite clean too. The market comes, takes out these lows, right? Inducing sellers into the market. Okay, so the market engineers, the market first builds that liquidity, grabs all the liquidity, taking on this lows, inducing sellers into the market. So where are sellers induced? They're induced at the highs. Okay, and there is some liquidity to the upside, like I mentioned before, right? There's this liquidity right here. You know, is it gonna come for that right away? Not particularly. You can't guarantee it. However, you can see this on the 5-minute time frame. Right, so all the market was doing was taking up the low. Look at that, BOS to the downside, respects the high, right? So liquidity sitting above, takes out the low, respects the high, building that liquidity, takes out the low, respects the high again. So all it's doing is just building liquidity. And where did the market react from, right? The market reacted from this area, okay? And there's liquidity sitting above. So if there's liquidity sitting above, that's something we can target, or at least have an idea where the market's gonna go. So market traps the buyers, inducing sellers, okay? Market induces those sellers. And then we look for our buy entry, okay? So if you go on the 1-minute time frame, what you can see, let's go right here. Okay, so what does the market do? Sweeps the low, okay? Now, obviously, I like to see an entry model. I like to see buyers get induced internally, which it doesn't do. All it does is print this high and then come lower, okay? Now, it does build liquidity to the upside, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to start longing from this area right here or this imbalance right here, right? Thinking this is my liquidity block, because the market can obviously induce lower, okay? So the market induces lower and then finally comes to upside. But look at this, okay? The difference between this area right here, the market just prints this high and just pulls back, right? Obviously, it does print these highs over here, but it doesn't break above this. It doesn't really induce buyers. So market comes, sweeps the low, and then finally starts inducing buyers into market. How does it do that? Well, look at it this way, right? You got your BOS, you got your BOS, you got your BOS right here, got your BOS right here. Now, the market did sweep this high from the left, but after sweeping the high from the left, what did it do? It didn't just pull back all the way, right? The market induced higher again. Okay, so look at that. BOS to the upside. BOS to the upside. So all the market was doing was just building that liquidity, okay? Inducing buyers the entire time. So comes for all this liquidity that was left, right? You can say you got your little, you got your little trap right here. Boom. Okay, inducing buyers after taking out the highs, and then finally trapping the buyers and coming for that resting liquidity. Okay, so market comes for all that resting liquidity and then finally moves to the upside. Now, this is a little cheeky. I just wouldn't be able to take something like this though, as the market can obviously come for this low as well. But this low was taken right here, so it is a liquidity block. I just don't like it. I wouldn't be taking it straight from there, okay, or I wouldn't be keeping my stops below there. I'll take it straight when this liquidity is taken and just keep my stops below low. Okay, now this being a liquidity block, keep my stops below there and then target the highs. Okay, so it was a 6 pip stop, so stop loss wasn't too big, or wasn't big at all. And then you just take it straight to the highs, right? It gives you a 40 pip move. So I wouldn't mind taking it from here. Okay, you got your, unfortunately, if you wanted to wait for this low to go, now you wouldn't be able to be part of the trade, right? So it's definitely I would recommend taking it from here because it's not a big stop, right? You can definitely take it from here, and then just target the highs. Okay, so you got your nice 1 to 6.8, and yeah, pretty much the market comes, right, engineers that liquidity to the upside, induces buyers the entire time, traps the buyers, comes for that resting liquidity, and then finally has the move up. Okay, another thing you could say is this right here, because this got respected, right? So the market was just building that liquidity, finally comes for that resting liquidity, comes into this area right here. That's where people are trying to sell from, and look at that, right? The market goes straight to the highs. And then pretty much clean move on GU on Friday. Thursday and Friday were both very clean actually, and yeah, pretty much. So that was the end of, well, that was a trade on Thursday and Friday, and I will see you guys on the next case study.